Okay, so while the world continues to burn, we are back with another comedy special review. This is your first time here. My name is Dragos and I do comedy reviews. I myself am a comedian and I like to look at a particular set of things when I kind of watch some comedy. Now, I like to look at laughs per minute, I like to look at voice modulation, act outs, and different characters who were created and used in the particular special. And yeah, if this is your first time, please sure to click that subscribe button and let us go on the journey together. Today we are looking at Mark Normand. Mark Normand's newest special called Out for Lunch is out today, the 13th of May 2020. And if you're not familiar with Mark Normand is a New York-based comedian. He's been at the game since 2006, so almost 15 years now, and he has gone through some shit to get here. He originally went to study at the New York Film Academy, ended up dropping out, worked as a janitor for a couple of years, and has been climbing through the comedy ranks since then. I guess so far his largest and greatest claim to fame is that he has opened for Jerry Seinfeld on his Beacon Theater residency, and he has also appeared on the Joe Rogan podcast. He has his own podcast called Tuesdays with Stories with fellow comedian Joe List, and has also had a Comedy Central half-hour special, as well as released an album. So this will technically be his third hour of this comedy, but his first full special released online. And the interesting thing about this particular special is that he has been very open about it. Mark Normand has been very open about it. The fact that he's been trying to sell it for a couple of months/years. He's been in talks with Netflix, Amazon, all the places no one wanted to buy it, right? Which is quite a shame because, as you will observe from this review and the actual special itself, it's a great special. It's very well built, very tight, and he has officially released it on YouTube for free just to get the people going. And it's been out for about 8 hours and it already has 100,000 views. 100,000 views without any marketing, without any form of promotion, just kind of tweeting it out and putting it out through his Instagram and social media, which just goes to show the amount of fans and size of audience that he's built up in the past couple of years, where he's been actively performing throughout the US, and he's also done a tour of Europe opening for Bert Kreischer. The special is called Out for Lunch, and I particularly enjoyed it very much. It felt like a very well chiseled, kind of built up, tight special, right? It's not one of those specials that has a lot of story associated with it. Effectively, it's just 1 hour of straight up jokes and comedy. Very similar to Sam Morrill's special in terms of just jokes. And he does go and cover a range of topics throughout this whole special, which we'll discuss in a bit. But overall, I was very surprised by the high quality of this particular special. I do not understand exactly why Netflix or Amazon or whatever kind of platform was not willing to buy it, because it's a very high quality special. You know, I would even go so far as to say that I enjoyed this particular Mark Normand special more than I enjoyed the Jerry Seinfeld one. It's just a lot of good jokes, and it's, you know, touches on a lot of topics, very easy going, very easy to digest. I particularly have a couple of favorite jokes that I'm gonna go into it later on, but the one about Asians not having where to drink water in the 50s was particularly funny. I also enjoyed some of the midget jokes that he had, and again, it's all in good fun. It's just comedy, right? So it is one of those specials that it is just put out there for enjoyment. It's just for the purpose of having a good time watching it. Again, it's not gonna make any particular cultural statements. It's not gonna stay in the zeitgeist for long, but it's extremely well timed in the quarantine. And I'm sure people are just gonna devour this particular special because it's easy to access, it's very tight, very well written. You can really say, like, Mark Normand I've heard him speak on a podcast once, maybe it was the Joe Rogan podcast, the fact that he does not have he's a very weird guy, very quirky, does not have the confidence to go into very long stories. And you can really see from this particular special that he covers like a shit ton of topics, right? A lot of topics. There's no brought out kind of storyline, or there's no particular emotional involvement in the characters that he creates. It is just set up punchline, which some people might mention, and I think Joe Rogan has actually told him this on the podcast as well, that it might work against him because people want to have some form of emotional engagement and enjoyment. But it is, again, his particular style. It doesn't have to be the Joe Rogan way, the Dave Chappelle way. It's just jokes, quirky jokes. And I particularly enjoyed that. I do like a special with a bit of depth, with a bit of, you know, emotional entanglement, but this is definitely not that. But it's 100% something that you should watch and enjoy. So without further ado, let us head into the numbers. But before the numbers, one more quick reminder: if you do enjoy this, if you like it, hit me up with a subscribe, a like, a comment, and let me know what other special to look at next. And let us look at the numbers. Actually, before the numbers, let us just do a quick pit stop at the topics. So he has about 21 topics in the particular show. The entire length of the comedy show is 52 minutes, not an entire hour, but 52 minutes, you know, commercial breaks, if you will. And it covers 21 topics, the topics being booze, gym and therapy, games and fat people. It talks about privilege, it talks about obese people and pedophiles. It talks about gay people, women, lesbians, abortions, word prohibition, which I thought it was very well kind of phrased, word prohibition. He talks about how men are gross, talks about transgender people, talks about midgets, talks about Asian supremacists, black guys, hating yourself. Damn, it's a lot of stuff. Dicks and guns, catcalling guys, true crime videos, insults in the bedroom, marriage, sex and post-sex kind of conversations, and also women. So a lot of stuff packed into the special, right? Alrighty, so when we're looking at the numbers, you can see, like I mentioned before, the entire length of the show is 52 minutes, and the total laughs that I've kind of counted in this particular show are 282. 282, so we'll see how that kind of, you know, matches with the other people later on. But that brings up Mark Normand to 5.42 LPMs for the show, the laughs per minute per show. So 5.42 laughs per minute for Out to Lunch, the name of the special. Okay, so when we look at the number of topics, as I mentioned, 21 topics, it's a shit ton of topics. I think so far it's almost as many as Seinfeld. So you can see the similarities in terms of styles, right? Not a lot of depth, not a lot of, and the reason why there's so many topics is because there's so many jokes, right? And that kind of gives a bit of leeway to, you know, emphasize how he doesn't spend too much on any particular topic, kind of like missing out the chance of getting some emotional depth and some emotional involvement for it. But I guess that's fine, it's a particular style, right? Act outs, not a lot of act outs and voice modulations. I guess this is one of the things that Mark doesn't really do. He just kind of relies on his own delivery and his own voice, and he doesn't, again, I think his weakness is doesn't create a lot of depth for the characters that he kind of brings into the story, which is something that I saw for Taylor Tomilson and also Sam Morrill, and they're all both kind of in the same generation. Well, obviously Taylor Tomilson a bit younger, but Morrill and Normand, they're definitely same generation. And character perspective, 63 characters, so not a lot of character, but this is not too abnormal when compared to the other people. I think the abnormality here is the reduced number of act outs and voice modulations. So perhaps this is one area where he might be able to add some more stuff. I know he was mentioning on a podcast that even Jerry Seinfeld told him that he should improve on his act outs and be more active on stage, right? Okay, so let us look at the pulse of the show. This is how the distribution of the laughs kind of, you know, creates the pulse, the heartbeat of the show. So as you can see, clear, start up strong, starting very strong, ending very strong, and a very big, strong middle. Let's see, what is this one here? Over here we have 8 laughs per minute, and this is going to be a minute 25. Minute 25 we have, oops, wrong one. Minute 20 we have Asian supremacists and trans babies and black guys. So those are the particular jokes that get that reaction. But yeah, this is how it looks in terms of the overall kind of heartbeat of the show. And if we want to see the physical act outs, voice and character distribution, as you can see, a bit lacking in all of them, not a lot of presence, right? All right, let us see how does it compare with some of the other specials. So here basically I've had Marron, Chris D'Elia, Dave Chappelle, Joe Rogan, Sebastian, Mark Normand, and Richard Pryor. So as you can, Mark Normand, this lightly blue one over here. Let's make this, I'm gonna make this black so you can see it a bit easier, right? So this is Mark Normand, the black one. See, just above Pryor, and is this Joe Rogan? So yeah, Joe Rogan, but way low beyond Chris D'Elia's No Pain, and also Dave Chappelle's Criminal Office. So he's not necessarily the highest one in terms of LPMs, but he does fare pretty decently, right? Okay, let us see. This is the one that I kind of want to look at. This is a bit more, this is something that's a bit more interesting to me. I've put out Mark Normand, I've also put Jerry Seinfeld, Ali Wong, Taylor Tomilson, Sam Morrill, because a lot of them kind of have similar aspects of their comedy. I thought that they would be a bit similar in terms of their aspects of cadence, and I was not wrong, because with the exception of Sam Morrill, actually Sam Morrill does fucking outperform in terms of LPMs by a lot. But if you look at Ali Wong being slightly below in terms of LPMs, but look at this. You have Jerry Seinfeld, Taylor Tomilson, and Mark Normand, and they're almost similar in terms of cadence and delivery, LPM wise, that I can determine for LPMs. Like, it's insanely similar, right? You can see they both kind of start off strong, with the exception of Jerry, who kind of picks it up. But Taylor Tomilson and Mark Normand are extremely similar in terms of the LPMs. But yeah, okay, let's look at the one for all the actual acts that I've kind of done so far. All right, so let's look here. So this is basically all the specials that I've reviewed so far, and as you can see, it's a fucking jumble up of lines. So it's still Louis C.K. and basically Jim Gaffigan kind of reigning supreme here at the top. And then we got Tom Segura here, we got Morrill, and then this line here. So basically what I've done for Mark Normand, I've put him as black so you can kind of see him. And then I've made Jerry Seinfeld purple so you can see a bit of the cadence similarity. But the ones that are kind of under, Eddie Murphy Delirious, you got Sebastian Stays Hungry, and a whole lot of stuff here. Let's see, who's this? Joe Rogan, Ali Wong, Chris D'Elia. But if you were to look from an LPM perspective only, he is definitely in the lower tier. And you know, I think as I'm kind of doing more and more of these reviews, you can kind of see the difference. You know, LPMs do matter, but of course you also have comedians that go into depth, that take a bit longer to deliver this, and they're a bit at the bottom. Richard Pryor obviously is also under the 5 kind of line. I don't know, it's such a complex jumble up so far, but what I can see is it is definitely in the lower half of the average for all the shows that I've done so far. I guess the average line has kind of been drawn by Chris D'Elia and Corrigible, and who is this? Chappelle? Is this Chappelle? It seems like Bert Kreischer is right in the middle in terms of delivery. He kind of keeps a balance between the LPMs and I guess depth. The lower in LPMs though, the higher depth you have. Not necessarily, as you can see from like Joe Rogan, but like Ali Wong, Sebastian, Dave Chappelle, they're both under the 6 LPM line, which might be a good kind of indication on what you need to do in order to kind of get the depth, sacrifice LPMs for depth, or go hard on LPMs and remove some of the depth. But I think that is where Louis C.K. does actually kind of break the mold. He's a bit of an exception. But yeah, this is how it looks so far. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really enjoyed Mark Normand's special. I hope he gets some more stuff out. I hope somebody buys it from him. But if you guys did enjoy this video, let me know what other videos to look at and come back again for more. Thanks a lot, subscribe, and see you next time. I've put the racing graphs at the end as per usual, so I hope you guys enjoyed that as well. Thanks, and see you next time.